Forget the 6 rings, the MVP trophies, the iconic dunks. Michael Jordan wasn't just a basketball player. He was a biological anomaly, a walking, breathing, evolutionary glitch. We celebrate his godlike grace, but we utterly ignore the primal, microscopic reality of what it actually took to be the greatest. The apex predator's mind. Michael Jordan's competitive drive wasn't just a personality trait. It was an evolutionary imperative, a neural network wired for absolute dominance. His mind was an apex predator's, constantly scanning for weakness, not just in opponents, but within himself. Every missed shot, every defensive lapse, was a perceived threat to his own existence on the court, triggering an immediate, intense, almost violent feedback loop of correction and escalation. He didn't just want to win. He needed to obliterate, to consume, to leave no doubt that he was the alpha. This wasn't merely ambition. It was a fundamental, biological programming to achieve supremacy. It explains why, unlike nearly every other professional athlete, Jordan had a legendary love of the game clause in his Bulls contract, explicitly allowing him to play basketball anytime, anywhere, even in off-season pickup games, despite the obvious, career-threatening injury risks, simply because the urge to compete, to be in the game, was an unquenchable biological fire. This insatiable drive manifested not just in epic performances, but in legendary practice sessions, pushing teammates to their breaking point, sometimes beyond. He understood that true excellence wasn't found in a trophy cabinet, but forged in the relentless, often brutal, crucible of daily perfection. He didn't just elevate his game. He elevated the standard of competition, forcing everyone around him to either rise or be utterly consumed by his intensity. This was the psychological engine, a relentless, singular focus that transformed potential into unparalleled power, and desire into destiny. His presence on the court wasn't just a challenge. It was an imposition, a force of nature that demanded absolute respect or delivered absolute humiliation. He wasn't just playing against the defense. He was playing against the very concept of imperfection, and he would not tolerate it, not from himself, and certainly not from anyone standing in his way. Every move, every glance, every flex of muscle was imbued with this pure, distilled competitive essence, turning basketball into a gladiatorial contest of wills, with Jordan almost always emerging as the sole, undisputed victor. Artistry in motion, engineered for dominance. But the mind, however fierce, is only half the equation. Jordan's artistry in the air wasn't magic. It was a breathtaking symphony of biomechanics, kinetic energy, and unparalleled proprioception. His body was a perfectly tuned instrument, capable of executing complex maneuvers midair, defying the very physics that tethered lesser mortals to the ground. When he launched into a jump, time seemed to slow, not because of some mystical force, but because his brain and muscles were processing and reacting with an almost alien speed and precision. Every flex, every twist, every hang in the air was a calculated act of anatomical brilliance, allowing him to adjust, to create, to score where others simply couldn't. It's often forgotten that his iconic number 23 wasn't chosen for any grand, self-aggrandizing reason. It was a humble homage to his older brother, Larry, who wore 45. Michael simply hoped to be at least half as good as Larry. This anecdote, often overlooked amidst the towering legend, reveals a grounded humanity beneath the extraordinary physicality. This wasn't just raw athleticism. It was a meticulously refined craft, honed through countless hours of repetition, burning neural pathways into muscle memory so profound it became instinct. He could read the defense, anticipate movements, and then execute a counter-move, all while gravity was relentlessly pulling him back to earth. His ability to change direction, accelerate, and decelerate with such explosive grace wasn't just visually stunning, it was functionally devastating to opponents. He sculpted his body, not for aesthetics, but for absolute, devastating efficiency on the court, turning every leap into an expression of dominant physical will. Each drive to the basket was a masterclass in controlled chaos, a blur of motion culminating in a gentle, almost apologetic release of the ball through the hoop. His body wasn't just strong, it was intelligent, adaptable, a dynamic system constantly optimizing for success, making the impossible appear effortless. This was the raw, elegant power that captivated millions. A human form pushed to its absolute physical and artistic zenith, demonstrating what peak athletic potential truly looked like. The global phenomenon, a cultural contagion. Beyond the dunks and the dazzling moves, Michael Jordan ignited a global cultural wildfire, transforming basketball from a niche American sport into an international phenomenon. His influence wasn't merely about endorsement deals. It was a sociological contagion, spreading across continents and permeating every facet of popular culture. The iconic Air Jordan brand, a collaboration with Nike, transcended mere athletic footwear. It became a symbol of aspiration, a badge of cool, a statement. Kids in remote villages, who had never seen a basketball court, yearned for shoes bearing his silhouette. He wasn't just selling sneakers, he was selling a dream, an ethos of excellence, a blueprint for global superstardom. His presence on the first Dream Team in Barcelona in 1992 wasn't just a collection of elite athletes. It was a declaration, an exhibition of American basketball dominance that captivated the entire world, forever altering the sport's trajectory. He became an ambassador without portfolio, a living legend whose image communicated more than any diplomat could. Even his rare moments of perceived vulnerability only amplified his mythos. The Blue Game, a legendary performance where he battled what was initially believed to be a severe illness, cemented his status as a warrior. It's now widely speculated by medical experts and even Jordan's personal trainer that it wasn't the flu at all, but rather acute food poisoning from a late-night pizza delivery that Jordan himself suspected was tampered with, a detail that only adds to the gritty, almost conspiratorial mystique surrounding his relentless pursuit of victory against all odds. This was a man whose competitive drive was so profound, he would risk his own health, even in moments of perceived sabotage, to achieve victory. His very existence became a testament to human potential, inspiring generations to reach for their own greatness, whether on a court, in a classroom, or in life. He didn't just play basketball. He rewrote the cultural playbook for athletic heroism, creating a template that endures to this day, a truly global icon whose shadow still stretches across every court and every generation. The unseen engine, pushing biological limits. We've celebrated Jordan's mind, his body, his global impact. But beneath the highlight reels and the iconic imagery lay a truth far more profound, and perhaps far more unsettling. To sustain that level of excellence, for nearly 2 decades, his body wasn't just a machine. It was a biological furnace operating at critical temperatures, consuming and expelling with unparalleled ferocity. Every explosive pivot, every gravity-defying leap, every minute of intense, sustained exertion pushed his cellular machinery to its absolute limits. His body was in a constant state of catabolism and anabolism, breaking down and rebuilding, a relentless cycle of destruction and regeneration. The sheer energy expenditure of playing at that level, night after night, season after season, required an enormous physiological output, far beyond the ordinary. We see the final product, the perfect shot, the game-winning block, but we rarely consider the colossal amount of biological work underpinning it. His greatness wasn't merely achieved, it was manufactured by an internal engine running at peak capacity, continuously, violently, and sometimes sickeningly. His blood coursed with adrenaline and lactic acid, his muscles tore and repaired, his lungs gasped for air, and his heart hammered against his ribs like a desperate drum. This was the unseen cost, the unglamorous reality of a body perpetually pushed to the brink, then forced to recover and do it all again. It was a testament not just to will, but to the extraordinary, resilient, and sometimes brutal nature of the human organism itself. The microscopic truth, Jordan's filthy legacy. Now, let's get truly scientific. And truly unsettling. While we idolize the artistry in the air, let's peer closer at the biological reality Jordan left in his wake. Imagine the sheer volume of sweat. An elite basketball player can easily shed 1 to 2 liters of sweat per hour. Over a single 40-minute game, that's often over a liter. Across 15 seasons, over 1,000 regular season games, hundreds of playoff games, practices, and countless hours in the gym, Michael Jordan likely expelled tens of thousands of liters of sweat. This isn't just water, it's a potent biological cocktail. Urea, salts, lactic acid, electrolytes, trace minerals, and metabolic waste products, a literal efflux of the body's internal workings. With every bead, he wasn't just cooling down. He was ejecting the microscopic byproducts of his competitive fury. But it gets far more visceral. Every human sheds approximately 50 million skin cells per day. Michael Jordan, running, jumping, twisting, frictionally shedding more than most, for nearly 2 decades, would have left a microscopic trail of hundreds of billions, if not trillions, of his own biological detritus. These aren't just inert flakes. They're organic matter, protein, lipids, providing a rich feast for dust mites, bacteria, and fungi. And then, there's the microbiome. His skin, a vibrant ecosystem, teeming with trillions of bacteria and other microorganisms. When he sweated, when he touched the ball, when he high-fived a teammate, when he breathed heavily, he wasn't just performing, he was dispersing this complex, invisible world. His jersey, a canvas of sweat, skin cells, and microbial colonies, was a constantly evolving, intensely odorous ecosystem, fueled by his unparalleled exertion. Think about the locker rooms, the training facilities, the very air in the arenas where he played. They were filled, not just with the echoes of his greatness, but with the microscopic, biological effluent of his peak performance. Every triumphant leap wasn't just grace. It was a physical explosion, a microavalanche of biological detritus, a potent cocktail of waste products. For nearly 2 decades, Michael Jordan wasn't merely playing, he was a biological furnace, consuming, transforming, and relentlessly expelling. His greatness wasn't clean. It was gloriously, profoundly gross. The ultimate symbol of excellence, the paragon of athletic perfection, was also, at a microscopic level, a prolific producer of human waste, a walking, jumping, sweating, shedding fountain of biological output. The pursuit of such immaculate perfection, paradoxically, created an immense, constant, and repulsive impurity. The very air around him, the ball in his hands, the court beneath his feet, were all infinitesimally, yet profoundly marked by the ongoing, unavoidable biological consequences of his superhuman effort. It makes you wonder, if the greatest athlete of all time, an icon of purity and excellence, was simultaneously such an incredible engine of biological detritus, what truly defines greatness, when stripped down to its raw, microscopic, and somewhat sickening truth? So, what does it truly mean when the zenith of human excellence is also, undeniably, a biological cesspool of extraordinary proportions?